opportunities to really use AI to help war fighting abilities in the air, on land, and in the sea as well. Wow. So a lot of things we talked about today, and he educated me on everything AI, and this stuff is really cool, Chad.
Now, that is going to be an outstanding conversation. We plan to get to that in about 10 minutes, so stick around with that. But, Tony, we're going to start this show with a tragic story, that, of course, being the passing of D.C. police officer Terry Bennett. Now, if you're not familiar with this story, Terry Bennett was killed on I-695 while helping another passenger when he was struck by a vehicle. There's a vigil held at Ballou High School, where he is also was a member of that coaching team with Ballou High School, and going to join us now to talk about what Officer Bennett meant to the community, meant to that school, and so much more is Ballou football head coach Kenny Brown joining us now. Coach, thank you so very much for taking a moment with us here tonight on Live Zone Primetime, especially a moment like this that I know has to be challenging.
Yes, man. Thanks for shedding light on Chad. Thanks for you showing the beacon of light that Coach Terry was to us.
Well, let's go ahead and start there, brother, because again, most of the story is talking about him as a police officer, which is of the most honorable of honorable positions that an individual can be, but he's also someone who gave his life back to the kids as a coach there at Ballou. Speak to us about Coach Terry.
Sure. So, Coach Terry coached at Ballou for 10 years. I had the pleasure of coaching with him for the last 8, and then 5 of those years, he was my assistant head coach. When I got the opportunity to be the head coach at Ballou, he's a Ballou lifer, as I call it. Like, graduated from Ballou. His siblings graduated from Ballou, so he's been going to Ballou and being around Ballou since he's probably been in 6th, 7th grade, playing with number 11. So, I couldn't think of a better person to have as my assistant head coach when I got the job than, Terry. And Terry knew all the kids. He loved all the kids. And, if I had to do it all again, Terry would be my pick every time as my assistant head coach. So that's how his coaching journey went at Ballou.
Take us back to December the 23rd, the day that this tragedy first came to fruition. I imagine that you received a phone call, that you were made aware of what was going on. What thoughts, what feelings, what emotions were you feeling when you first got the news?
So I got a call around like 11-ish that night. One of my coaches actually called me because, someone we know that works at the fire department kind of told us that it might have possibly been Terry. And, my stomach, my chest immediately dropped to my stomach. So, we waited around for more information. So that night really consisted of just worry and, just thinking positive. And, it's been like literally probably a nightmare ever since.
When you think of Coach Terry as a man and what he meant to the young men that he coached alongside you, what was one of the biggest impacts that he had on the team beyond a football perspective, but from a mentorship perspective?
Well, he loved them. For one, that's a 2-part question, right? I mean, that's a 2-part answer.
Yeah.
One, he loved them because he knew he was them, right? He went to Ballou. From Ballou, he got a full-ride scholarship to Bucknell. So he went so hard for them guys because he knew he was essentially the blueprint for them. He knew he was the standard, and he knew if they followed these certain steps, that they can ultimately be like him and, get a chance to get out Southeast Washington and get a chance to enjoy college or the next phase of life. So that's part one. And then part two is that he loved them. We had this running joke when we first started. We started calling each other Boone and Yotes. Like our first year, mind you, when I got the job, I was the youngest head coach. So, me and Terry the same age. So if I was the youngest head coach, I know he was the youngest assistant head coach, right? So we had this running joke that we were Boone and Yotes because, when I first got the job, I just thought he had to be the standard of like, all right, just always on the guys. But Terry was the one that just always eased up and coached from a different approach. So, if anybody ever seen me with the Titans, like that's how, Coach Boone and Coach Yotes were a relationship first got kicked off. So, we called each other Boone and Yotes. So Terry loved them. And I think he loved them so much because he knew he is them, he was them, and he wanted them to be how his life was and just, way to turn it around and be like a rose that grew from the concrete.
That's an absolutely beautiful reference to 2 great coaches. And when you look at the school community right now, how is the school community handling this situation? Again, there was a memorial, but how are students taking it now in the weeks ahead?
Well, Ballou is a family, so on one field, we all feels. So, you have just young kids, students at Ballou who technically didn't get coached by Coach Terry, but they feel away because their friends feel away, staff members feel away. You know, he wasn't just a football coach. He was a guy from the community. So, you know, even when, you know, we weren't technically coaching football, Coach Terry would walk around the school with me. Like, he would walk up the street with me during dismissal and, you know, help dissolve any situation that might go on a dismissal around Ballou, or just walking in school with me, stopping to teach a class and speak. You know, everybody knew when he came in, it's Terry. Like, Terry, you cannot tell Terry wasn't a founding father of Ballou. Like, Terry thought he was one of the founding members of Ballou. So, you know, and on the other side of that, our football guys, they just feel it. Like, you know, I could just see it in them every day. Like, this is literally a guy. So think about if you're a senior, you've probably seen him every day for the last 4 years. Or some of the guys that, you know, Coach Terry was big in the recruiting process for Ballou when we recruited the middle schoolers. So, you know, it's just some guys that he was technically their recruiting coach out of middle school that I know that, you know, this is something that's just going to touch them forever. So we just continue to be like that, hover over them, put our arms over, let them know we love them, and give them a hug whenever they need it.
Amen. Coach, that's really where I want to go now. And as you know, I give coaches, men such as yourself, all of the credit in the world. I have had the opportunity, and I do consider it an opportunity and a blessing, to cover DC sports, DC football for the last 12 or 13 years, initially almost exclusively. So I appreciate individuals such as yourself, such as Coach, who gives back to the youth. Talk to me about that young man who's on your team, who's not on your team, that's in Southeast DC, and why individuals such as yourself, individuals such as Officer Terry, why you all mean so much to the community.
We never put ourselves above the community, right? And I think that's what we always lead with. I just kind of posted a video from when we were able to make the Turkey Bowl together back in fall of 2023, and something we kind of ended it like a vlog, and something we ended the vlog with saying like, dang, Terry, we finally did it. And you know, we were talking about the love in Southeast, and then we kind of mentioned that we only do everything we do is for the kids and it's for the community. Right, when we win, we shout out the community. We tell the community we want them to be a part of everything we do. You know, we make sure the kids, like, we go above and beyond and make sure our kids have a grand experience. So when we talk about what the community means to us, the community means everything. Or what we mean to the community, I would like to think we mean a lot, because we put it all on the line to ensure that the next generation has a chance of hope, has a chance to think that they can be something. So it's a dual approach. We love the community, and we hope the community, you know, appreciates and loves us for everything we do.
As a leader of men, as someone whom, again, in Washington, D.C., everywhere, but Washington, D.C. as well, these young men, they see you, they see Coach as so much more than just coaches. Oftentimes you all are mentors, sometimes you're father figures, sometimes you can be the only family that some of these young men have. So when you had to sit down and when you had to break this news to them, what was their reaction and what was that like for you?
So I kind of originally let them know in the group chat. I kind of let them know in the group text, like, you know, and crazy, it was on Christmas Eve, and I had to let them know, like, he was involved in an accident, and, you know, right now he's in the hospital, so I just need everybody to kind of have positive thoughts and just basically send prayers up, you know, for Coach, and we hope for a speedy recovery. And, you know, as time just went on and went on, you know, it got to the ultimately today, they started seeing people post, and, you know, one of our guys hit the group chat and asked, why are people posting things like this? And, you know, me and another coach kind of, he seen it before me, and he just stepped to the back and kind of, you know, let him know, what happened and what's going on. Then I kind of followed up with basically saying, like, listen, man, we're a family, and if anybody needs a hug, I'm here. If anybody needs to talk, I'm here. If anybody needed to cry, I'm here. Basically, just let them know I'm here, right? You know, my support can't, like, turn around with the bad thing that just happened, but just want you to know you have support, and it's okay to not to take it alone, right? And that's been, like, the kind of overarching point we've communicated with the kids, and even communicated with us coaching together, to let each other know, like, it's a band of brothers, and, you know, only each other is going to get us through this, or learn how to live with it, so to speak.
That's so right, especially about you're not alone, and you, the entire staff and team is not alone 100%. Let me ask you this, as you move into this new year, and think about the legacy of Coach, what is the one lesson that you hope that players now and future players take from his life and take from his impact that he had on all the students?
So I have like 3 different things to say to that. Number 1, be proud of where you're from. Coach Terry had a mantra, just a kid from Southeast, right? He was proud of where he's from. He wore Southeast on his chest. He wore Blue on his chest. He wore Ward 8 on his chest. So be proud of where you're from, right? Number 2, take advantage of every opportunity. Coach Terry's a guy who's big on relationships. If you just look at his life, you know, he got the Posse Scholarship from Blue. He was a salutatorian as well. I want to say that. Second highest GPA in the school. Posse Scholarship, full ride to Bucknell University. Got a chance to play Division I football at Bucknell University. You know, was able to graduate from Bucknell University, right? You know, this is a little black kid from Southeast Washington, D.C., Ward 8. Went to this Patriot League school. So that's also something that was incredible, you know. And after graduating, he tapped on his resources and he worked back at his old school and gave back and he started coaching. And I believe one of his coaches inspired him to become a police officer. And he went through the academy and became a police officer. And he's won, you know, multiple awards as a police officer. So, you know, he just takes advantage of every opportunity. So 1, be proud of where you're from. Number 2, take advantage of every opportunity. And number 3, what I would want to say is that life doesn't wait on anyone. And we never know when it could be our final day. So just seize the day, right? Seize the day and just be proactive. Be proactive and take advantage of your future. So, I mean, those are the 3 points. And lastly, like, just be a chance to be heroic. And that's what Coach Terry was. Like, I like to tell everybody, like, he is a hero. So, you know, those are the 4 points I would, I know I said 3, but that's the 4 points I would love to see people take.
And they were all absolutely fantastic. And that's just, I mean, it's all about that mentorship, right, Chad? Just completely, this is a beautiful human. Just final thing, what is one funny or really positive memory that between you and Coach Terry that you'll remember the most in the years ahead?
I know we had a lot of moments. It's just, you know, I could just talk about it. It's just a lot of moments, man.
Of course.
Like, you know, we sit next to each other at basketball games and like commentate the basketball games with one another. You know, we've been in multiple family events, but just coaching. We've had so many coaching moments together. We were like, oh wow, like I can't even just pinpoint and say, oh, this is the funniest moment.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of funny moments with Coach Terry. Like I call him Mr. Obvious all the time because he always loves to tell me the obvious, but I know that's coming from him, right? So it's just like, you know, so many funny moments that him and I share. Like I can't literally even pinpoint it to one. You know, the other day I was just looking through old pictures and videos of us and just laughing like, man, we've really got to accomplish a lot together. And without, like, you know, when you're living in the moment, you think something is like a very long time. Like, okay, like 5 years as the head coach, assistant head coach. You look at it, seems like a long time, but you just realize, like, that was only basically like a short period. So, you know, I'm just cherishing those moments and all those memories. And I'm just happy that we took a lot of pictures together. Like, we are in a lot of pictures and videos of one another. And that's what I've kind of found a lot of, like, solace in knowing that we've really cherished our moments with one another and really created great memories.
Beautiful.
Coach, I'll get you out of here on this, and maybe you've already had this opportunity, but if you had the opportunity to share some words with Coach Bennett's family, with his loved ones, in terms of what he meant to you, what would that message be to his family?
I'm sure, and I was able to speak to them, you know, through the course of this, but I mean, they know they just have support through me. His niece Janiyah is a sophomore at Clark Atlanta University, and she's a rock star. And she's been a rock star since she's been in high school. You know, softball player Murray. She ended up, you know, being she comes from the Nats program, and she's been getting a lot. She's been able to get a lot of awards from like the Nats Academy. And like I said, she's a sophomore at Clark Atlanta right now, just doing incredible things. And I know how much she meant to Coach Terry. And I even called her Niecy. Like I don't even call her name. I call her Niecy. So, you know, I just want her to know, like, I'm always here for her. Of course, his sister, his mom, his father. They were just, you know, moms, like, you know, when I was able to have my first child, you know, moms came to Baloo and dropped me off some things for the baby shower. And, you know, it's just a family. And then you look at his wife, Nadia, who was also a cheerleading coach at Baloo. So that's another person I was able to see every day. And, you know, we developed a bond. Like, every time I see her, I didn't even say hello, Nadia. I always call her, like, Miss Bennett. Even when I see her, you know, it's just, I just want them to know they always have support through me. it's the village, and of course his son Elijah. You know, we put that on our backs. You know, me and the coaches just spoke about just making sure we support him through the matriculation of the rest of his life, you know, while we're here. So it's just knowing, like, you know, when we sign up for this, it's a brotherhood, and that's kind of been the standard of our program that we set together. I say ours because, you know, I'm 1A, but he's been 1B. So it's what we set together and what we created. So, you know, I just wanted to know we set the baseline of family, and that goes further, way farther than football, whatever it goes. So, you know, that's what I want them to know, and that's what I would hope they know.
DC Police Officer Terry Bennett, so much more than just a man, someone who gave back to the community.
Yep.
Coach Kenny Brown, thank you so very much for stopping by Live Zone Primetime.
Thank you all for shining a light on my brother, the hero, Terry Bennett.
All right.
What a story.
Yeah, I mean, at the last question that I was asking about the memory, I had some smiles, but I'm you know, welling with tears because it's like we need more people like him,
Sure.
Chad, in the world that are not only keep people safe on the streets, you know,
That's right.
as an officer, but then bringing it to school where he came from, and he literally gave back. And that's the thing, like, to serve others.
Yeah.
We don't have enough of that anymore, especially for young men to look up to. And like, it breaks my heart that a guy like this, you know, isn't around for 50 years to mentor thousands of kids.
I don't want to conflate stories. I don't want to conflate stories because that's not what we want to do. But this really ties in to everything that we've been speaking about when we talk about the ICE agents in Minneapolis, who are individuals on the federal level that come into an area with no ties to the community. When you have these police officers who are in the community, who are of the community, and who are there for the community,
Yep.
like Officer Bennett, not only enforcing the law, but also having a hands-on approach with the youth in the
Right.
community. That's the type of individual that you can go to no matter what's going on.
Well, we talked about this since 2020, right? About community policing.
That's right.
And having people that look like the community, that have been through
Yes.
not just experiences, but know the day-to-day
right.
of that community and live and work and understand what people in those communities are going through. And no better person than Officer Bennett, who just had the impact. He knew how to take care of the kids.
That's right.
To make sure that,
right.
to make sure that they didn't go and see him in a legal way.
That's right.
They want, you know, I'm going to see you as a coach. I'm going to make sure that I build you up as a man or as a woman, you know, and right, going to build you up. And when you look at just a legacy like this,
Sure.
and you hope that, you know, that the team can carry that spirit on, and then, you know, football doesn't start till next fall, but like take that spirit onward.
That's right.
And play with him in mind. And, you know, whether you had all 4 years with him or even 1 year or half a year.
Yeah.
That impact can live in you forever, because that's what it means to be a coach.
That's what it means.
That's why that's why they don't get paid much, if anything.
Yeah.
And you know, that's why you do it. I love when he was talking about, when Coach Kenny was talking about the, like, walking through the halls together and going into class. Like he's kind of like, he's part of that. He's not just a coach,
Sure.
but he's in the classrooms. Like, that's
man.
just those type of memories, and the Coach Yost and Boone thing. Just, I mean, that had me almost crying how
True part
beautiful
of the
that is.
community.
Yeah.
A huge shout out to Coach Kenny Brown, in a very challenging moment to come join us
Yes.
on Live Zone Primetime, and as he alluded to Officer Bennett, to Coach Bennett's extended family, his wife, his son, etc. Extraordinarily hard times we can't even imagine. Our thoughts are with them
We
as
send
well.
love and a big hug their way.
All right, Tony, this AI story that you've been talking about, this is something that's very exciting. What do you got?
It is. So we tonight are going to talk about AI and defense, because, you know, the world is changing, right?
Sure.
And AI is influencing everything that we do, including in the world of warfighting and defense, where I talked with a very innovative CEO today about some of the new products and software applications that they are working with the federal government and Defense Department on to improve America's ability to fight wars. And again, it could be through things such as software and unmanned craft.
Wow.
Whether it be maritime, in the air, or on land. And I think, you know, you'll probably see this at the end of it, where it might redefine the role of the soldier and the role of how a war is actually fought. I mean, things may look like a lot different when you see war fighting or operations in the next 5-10 years, Chad. So this is a very, very illuminating interview about what's ahead for the future of defense.
Let's do it.
AI is redefining almost everything that we do in our lives, from how we consume to how we create to how we interact with each other. While one company is now redefining how defense and warfighting capabilities are done using AI systems. My next guest is Kunal Mehra, the CEO of Scientific Systems, an innovative AI-powered defense company that specializes in maritime, sea, and air capabilities. Mr. Mehra, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Zone Primetime tonight. And I must say, as a Boston area resident, I know that Burlington, Massachusetts, where you all are headquartered, is the true East Coast tech hub. Am I correct in that assessment?
Absolutely, Tony. Burlington's where it all began.
Absolutely. I used to drive by on Route 95 and go, what's going on up there? What's being cooked up there? Well, I know a lot of incredible things are being cooked up right now at Scientific Systems. And just for our audience, if I could ask you, what are some of the main products that you are working on right now? And what is that secret sauce, if you will, that is helping to fill the gaps that we're seeing in our military via AI?
Sure. Thanks. First of all, Tony, thank you so much for having me on today. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm excited to have this conversation with you. The main thing that we work on is a product line that we call collaborative mission autonomy. And what that is it's an AI-powered software platform that enables us to take the very best of low-cost American manufacturing, drones, boats, systems, whether they're built for defense or built for commercial applications. And by integrating with our CMA software, we make those systems smart and intelligent and autonomous, so they can be used by themselves or in swarms of systems to enable our warfighters to take on our adversaries and our enemies around the world.
When looking at the AI capability itself, we're doing things to write now and create content or interact with one another. How can AI be proficient during some of those moments in warfighting where it's unpredictable, for example? How are you training your systems to ensure that that's possible for our warfighters and that there isn't a malfunction or the system can't get fooled, if you will?
Yeah, that is a fantastic question, Tony, because I think one of the biggest issues in the national security environment is having trust in these autonomous systems. So we've been at this for a long time. We're not an upstart. We've actually been developing the software for over a decade now. And one of the keys to success here is that all of the behaviors, all the rules that we develop, we actually sit down with subject matter experts from the military who are heavily steeped in these missions. And they help us define what the rules of engagement are, how a system should act under different kinds of contingencies, different kinds of scenarios. And then we use those as guardrails so that when we implement the software, there's some tolerance, but you can't move outside of those guardrails. And that's what really protects us, and it avoids the exact kind of situation you're talking about. Whereas in the commercial world, it's not uncommon for AI systems to, hallucinate.
Right.
We can't accept that in the defense world.
Of course. And this whole Venom boat that I've been watching on a loop for the last, I would say, 3 or 4 days, this is a really cool system, and I think for any viewer overall. Could you take us through the production process of how that came about? What are some of the collaborations that you've done with other providers or the community to really figure out how to make this boat work?
Sure, absolutely. Well, and as you said, we're a software company, so we don't actually manufacture the boat. But the military came to us and they said, you know what, we're looking at what the Ukrainians are doing and the amazing capabilities that they've been able to create by using recreational boats and turning them into weapon systems to push back the Russian Navy. We need something like that for America, but we need the next generation of that, where it's not just a single boat, but it's multiple boats, 8 to 10 of them that work together as a squad to intelligently overwhelm our adversaries. And so we paired up with actually a local company here in the Boston area called Tybin Marine. And Tybin makes a recreational boat that's made out of a really innovative plastic called high-density polyethylene. So it's really inexpensive. It's really cheap. You don't need expensive facilities to build it. We can pretty much do this anywhere in the country, potentially even anywhere in the world. But we're able to produce these boats en masse. And what really makes the boat capable as a military system is our AI-powered software that we put on it. It enables the boat to detect threats, to detect collision warnings, and to be able to operate by itself. And then more importantly, it enables a squad of these boats, 8 to 10 of them, to work together collaboratively so they can intelligently overwhelm our adversaries by coming at them from multiple different angles and really overwhelming their defenses.
How do you think that this can be scaled up at a military level in a solid enough time to meet the threats that America is facing right now?
Yeah, great question. So Venom is available today. It's actually in production.
Wow.
Our partner has production facilities around the country. We can scale up to about 400 to 500 units per year. to produce these, and we could even scale higher than that if that's what the military wanted. And again, what's really cool here is the hardware is just one piece of it. We're using all commercial parts, so the supply chain is not an issue. All these components are readily available in the commercial ecosystem. What really drives the innovation and the military capability here is the AI-powered software. And because it's software, we can update those at light speed. So we can pretty much create new tactics, new behaviors, and release those. Today it's more kind of a weekly or bi-weekly basis, but there's no reason why you couldn't get that down to daily, nightly, even hourly.
As you look to the future with different iterations and capabilities, what do you feel are the capabilities or the growth areas in the military, defense capabilities, things of that nature, war fighting, that can be done exclusively by AI, not just now, but in the near future?
Yeah. So, when if you just take a step back, there's an overall trend that's been, going on in the defense industry for about the last 10 years, but has really, moved into hyperdrive after we saw what an amazing job the Ukrainians were able to do by harnessing technology to offset their adversaries. And now it's really moving at warp speed under this new Trump administration, and particularly with the Big Beautiful Bill that passed back in July. So there's a strong realization, I think, bipartisan across the country, that we really need to recapitalize our nation's defense. America today has some of the best, most capable defense systems. There's no debate about that. The problem is we just don't have enough of them. They're very, very expensive. We call these kind of exquisite systems. And, we have these systems in hundreds or thousands of units, but our adversaries possess similar capabilities in tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of units. And so there's this whole concept that really companies like Scientific Systems are pushing in the forefront toward, and it's what we call affordable mass. So it's not replacing these legacy systems, but it's augmenting them with a whole new class of weapon systems that are highly affordable, and they're all enabled by software and autonomy so that we can buy them en masse. And that's really the future of warfare. That's what's got me extremely excited about where the industry is headed today. And what I just love is the Trump administration, particularly Defense Secretary Hegseth's leadership. They're driving significant reforms across the department to really break down barriers so that innovative companies like us, commercial businesses, can very quickly cut through all the red tape and offer these systems directly to the warfighter very quickly.
Speaking of those reforms, one of the major things that our viewers and Americans generally think about with the Defense Department is the audits, that a lot of things are overpriced. The budget is really large, right? So what are some of the ways that you are able to keep things cost effective for the military and the taxpayer generally?
Yeah, great question. So what we're really doing is, we're partnering with the best of breed commercial companies that have, low cost products that they already build and sell commercially. And we're helping them turn those capabilities into a weapon system and provide them to the Department of Defense. So we really become that enabler to kind of create this larger ecosystem of all these wonderful commercial companies to come into the defense ecosystem. And that's really critical because these companies living in the commercial world, there's incredible competition, incredible cost pressure in the commercial world. If you don't innovate, you die. So we're benefiting from that competition and from that mindset that our partners have. And we're able to bring that low-cost, affordable system that truly is cutting-edge and best-of-breed and offer to the defense customer.
In your mind, when you look at everything scaling up in the future with autonomous boats, AI software generally, what is warfighting going to look like in the next couple of years? We're having a lot of conflicts, whether it be with Venezuela, we're having different regional conflicts over in the Middle East. What does that mean overall for how it's going to look in terms of when AI is introduced more into the ecosystem?
Yeah. Look, I think overall, just the speed of warfare is increasing at a very, very rapid tempo. That is kind of a major overarching theme. Second thing is it's really data that's key, right? It's no longer about who has the biggest missile or the fastest missile. It's about who has the best, access to data so they know where the bad guys are, and they can quickly get that to a weapon system that can, affect that target. So it's that data to decision pipeline, being able to process that and then drive it into weapon systems to affect change. That's really what the whole future of warfare is. And when you listen to some of the defense luminaries talk, they really talk about a future of algorithmic warfare, right? Where it's really a competition about the best algorithms, the best computing capabilities. That's what enables an adversary to maintain its maintains the U.S. Sorry, enables the U.S. to maintain our competitive edge over our adversaries.
And do you think this will change what it means to be a soldier, basically how you interact in a war zone or a conflict, or will there still be a role for traditional war fighting in that regard?
Yeah, they will. Look, warfare is a inherently, human endeavor, right? And we all hope that it never comes to war, right? That's really the last resort. But if it does, it's my goal, and it's the goal of every, member of my team here at Scientific Systems, to make sure that our warfighters are equipped with the best possible tools that they can to keep them out of harm's way and give them a overwhelming advantage against our adversaries.
Very nice.
And that's really what all these capabilities do.
Of course. Now, a couple final questions, because I just can hear your passion in all of this. You've been in the operations software space for, I think it's over 30 years, I read. Where did you get this passion for the defense application and these type of systems?
Yeah, great question. Actually, Scientific Systems is a company that was founded by my father over 30 years ago. And, my dad is an immigrant. He came to this country on a scholarship. He was blessed, able to do his PhD over here at Harvard. And he, had grown up at a very tumultuous time in India when the country had just gotten its independence. Very quickly was attacked by Pakistan and attacked by China. And I think at a really young age, he viscerally understood the importance of a strong national defense for a budding democracy. So, that shaped him, that really shaped his mindset early on. And when he came to America and he had all the amazing opportunities he did, studying at Harvard and then, working at a couple cool companies in the West Coast, his mind always came back to that. He wanted to find a way to give back. In his case, he was a technologist, he's a scientist, and he started Scientific Systems to really bring the best of breed software capabilities to today's warfighter. And, I'm really blessed. I had a chance to grow up in that environment and took over as CEO a little over 3 years ago. And we're really super excited about where this administration is leading and our opportunity to basically contribute these systems to the fight.
And as you go into the future and build this company into many more years ahead, what is one lesson that he taught you that you are taking forward?
Well, there's many lessons, right?
Sorry, there's only one.
Humility, right? What we do is, this is a very, very tough business. The warfighter needs the best possible systems they can have. This is not an industry where you oversell your capability, you get too far over your ski tips. You want to undersell and overdeliver. And that's really a mindset that, every member of the SSCI team understands viscerally. We want to always exceed our customer expectations, underpromise and overdeliver.
Not just in life, but in business as well. We love that piece of advice. You just gave me one there. Kunal Mehra, thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Live Zone Primetime. You illuminated my mind and our viewers' minds of what this technology looks like and also your mission as you go forward and build out these systems. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. You too. Take care.
Take care.
3, 2,
Welcome back to Live Zone Primetime here on Fox 5. Now, it's a very rare moment when you get to interview someone that you absolutely love and have seen before. And I have seen this man, Sam Morril, the comedian. I saw him a couple years ago at the Warner Theater here in D.C., but that's not what we're talking about. He will be in here in D.C. this weekend, on Friday and Saturday, the 16th and 17th, at the main room at D.C.'s Improv Club for his really well-titled Errors Tour. I got to tell you something, this man is a true comic icon. He's also the host of the We Might Be Drunk podcast with comic Mark Normand, another great show that I very much thoroughly enjoy. We have Sam Morril joining us tonight. Thank you, sir, for coming up with us here on the Live Zone Primetime.
Let's go, Sam.
Is this sarcastic?
No, it's not. It's not.
What the hell is that?
Listen, I am, on social media, I'm known as the positive guy, and I got to tell you, like, when I saw you a couple years ago, I absolutely loved your show. So it's really cool to have you on, man. Now, first question for you. It's about D.C. generally. Of course, D.C. can be a very taboo city at times, has a lot of adjectives attached to it. Comedically, and when you're doing a set about D.C., what are some of the aspects of this area that are really up for grabs from a comedic perspective and things that can be made fun of, basically?
Well, I got to talk about what a bang-up job the president is doing. I mean, really, that ICE thing was pretty horrific for anyone, obviously.
Right.
That woman getting shot, that was terrible. It is crazy that we see that footage, and there's it's the same footage, and people are like, this is what happened, which is, because it's like, it is crazy, it's the same footage. Because that would never happen with anything. Like, if my girlfriend found a sex tape of me, I can't be like, you haven't heard the other side. If you look at the body cam, I'm clearly trying to not get blown.
Love it.
This is
my hip was pivoted to the right. I was trying to get away from the woman.
Oh my God.
You know that they're kind of on the wrong side because they're wearing ski masks. Am I right?
Oh my God.
Usually, if you're wearing a ski mask, you're not doing a good thing. It's not. It's robbers, rapists, ICE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
this conversation has stayed on the rails.
No, but I mean, like, when you think about just like DC generally and how like we're reacting to things and just like being the epicenter of all this mess, how do you find comedy in these type of moments? Again, this is your craft, but like, how do you find any comedic moments in these, really tough times? Everything's so divided, like you find that lane.
Well, you kind of have to remove your feelings from it, because if you feel anything, you're gonna get, like, oh, this is, I care too much about this. But then
Right.
If you remove yourself and you look at it like you're watching the world from another planet or something, it's a little easier. What I'm trying to say is lack empathy.
I mean, is it really about, again, this like not being able to see something through someone else's eyes, see it from a totally different, in terms of like an alien set of eyes? Is that what we're like looking for now?
A little bit, because I think if you care too much, I mean, it's good to care, but then you have to care as a human, but then you kind of have to remove your feelings a little bit and just try to find what's funny about it. Because if I try to think what's funny about the world, like, it is scary right now, the world, but then you have to really just be like, well, also it's insane, so it's kind of funny.
Right.
If you remove the fact that we're affected by this, it is pretty funny.
Sure. Sam, kind of to that point, you hear the backstory of a lot of comics, a lot of comedians, and they talk about their laughter or their comedic chops coming from a place of pain. Where did you get started, and how did you get going in this craft?
How did I get started?
Yeah.
I was just at an open mic, and I was like, I could do this, and then you go up and you do horribly, and you're just like, I can't do this, and then you get another chance, and you do all right. You get just enough to not kill yourself.
And when you think about this Errors tour that you're on, because it's going to be in D.C. this weekend, how do you view this tour as different from your previous tours you've done in terms of material or just kind of how you want to deliver your comedic message this time around?
Oh, it's not really that different. I mean, it's the same recipe as always. It's like, a few pedo jokes, a couple good stories. You kind of go like, what can I get away with tastefully? So it's always like some dating stuff. Yeah. There's some stories about me doing something really dumb. In this hour, there's a long story about me having unprotected sex with a stranger. And
there we go.
Really bad decision. Yeah. But it's really funny, I think. And then there's a story about how there was a rat in my home. That's pretty good. And then I have a long story about a plane that I thought was going to go down. So it's a longer story in this hour, but also, there's always going to be some good, inappropriate stuff. But you can bring your mom. Bring your mom. Bring your mom to the show. You in particular, I want your mom at the show. Maybe I could bang your mom.
Hey, I'll tell you, I'll tell you something.
Wow.
Okay, on my social media page, okay, they call her Mama P, and they, say other things in the comment section. Just being honest with you, so I think you got some guys that are beating you to that.
Wow, some guys who are beating you to Tony's mom.
I do. I mean, again, for me, I get mad when
how did I know that?
For me, like, again, my account's very, very interesting for a social media perspective, but, a lot of my comments could be basically a comedic session on their own, and I get a little bit mad sometimes, but you know what? It's part of this world we're in. Now, speaking of, like, crowds.
It sucks to have a hot mom. It sucks that everyone knows you have a hot mom.
Angie's also a great human being, to be honest, too. Now, let me
hook it up.
My stepdad may not like that point of it. He'd be very much, and also, he's the type of guy that could beat a lot of people up. But
really?
He's a plumber, which is like he has the plumber muscles, and like he can use like the wrenches and stuff, and like he can really use pipes and all that in more ways than one.
Yeah,
but
Tony,
what I'll say,
gracious.
so just
your mom we're talking about here.
No, but I'm talking about him though.
I didn't know this was going to go to such a real place.
My God.
No, but...
No, my stepdad could kill you. Okay.
Yes.
And my stepdad used pipes in multiple ways.
I'm getting into my comedic aura here, my friend. But when you look at... So one of my biggest questions that I've always loved about you is you're so good with the crowd work. And it's so natural to you. You did it at the Warner a couple years ago. And you had some guys that were just duds. That just did not feed into it. They didn't give you any good answers. So when you're doing crowd work and doing things in a tough audience, how do you keep it going with someone and try to get the most out of them for a joke? And then secondly, if you're really trying to figure it out, how do you not just blow up on stage? Because for me, I would just go, what the F, I'm moving on.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to know when to move on. It's like anything. It's like if someone's not giving you anything, you just move on to the next person. You ever go to a girl at the bar and she's just like, you go to the next girl.
Right.
Hopefully not right in front of her. You give it a second as a grace period. But
it's a grace period.
With crowd work, you're talking to people, and if they're giving you nothing, I mean, you kind of have. I don't do a ton of it, but I do it at the end of the show usually. So I like to give like an hour of jokes, and then at the end of the show, I'll try to do a couple things just to have a special moment with the crowd, make it unique to that show. But if someone's giving you nothing, you kind of have to. You'll have to be like, all right, you can kind of make fun of them for having nothing. I mean, that's your out. They can tell, like, well, I'm not a magician. Like, you go with what you get. Yeah. So you go to the next one, and if no one's giving you anything, I mean, you always have stuff in the back pocket. Yeah. You have a story or some more material, obviously.
Got it.
Sam, who'd you look up to in this game? If you had a Mount Rushmore, this is always fun. Who's on your Mount Rushmore of stand-up comedians?
Damn, it's so tough. But, New York, it's hard not to say Dave Attell. He's like the king of New York. Louis, C.K., Chris Rock. I could put a million guys on there,
Well, you only got one more, Sam.
Damn, that's a tough one.
Come on now.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Yes. Woo! I kind of guessed that.
For stand-up, so it's
right. Kind of like how you guessed about my mother. I guessed that about Rodney Dangerfield. I think there's a similar cadence in some of the jokes. Like, I can see you doing that. Like the whole like, hey, this crowd tonight. How about that? It's like, hey, you're all right. But I was in rough shape though last week. I got to tell you, my Dr. Vinny Mumbat. You hear my doctor? But no, not to get too much into that. But when you think about this new era of comedy, we have, with the scene in Austin, we see the podcast era. You have a great podcast. How do you think those forces are changing the game of comedy compared to when you were first coming up with all this technology and the Austin influence and podcasts now? How has it changed the craft over the years?
Well, people can blow up overnight in a way they couldn't back in the day, which for me was probably good because I wouldn't have known what the hell to do with it. I was lucky that the industry was really big to me. I was never on those cool kids lists. Neither was Mark Norman. Joe List. None of my friends. We were never on the comics to look out for list. And it was kind of nice to come up in the shadows a little bit because I was making a living. I was just in the clubs. No one knew me, but the podcasts are good. Everything's good, but it does burn you out for what you really want to be great at, which is stand up. So stand up is really kind of all I really care about at the end of the day. But then, I didn't have to do podcasts back in the day, so I was just writing jokes all day. So it was easier to work. But also a lot of that's just being older and busier. I have more stuff I'm trying to do. But it all comes back to stand-up. I'm taping another special next month. I don't know how I'm going to do another one after this. I feel pretty burnt out. I feel like, you do 7. You're just like, oh, it's 6,
7 now?
This may be 6. Maybe this is 6.
I mean, that's what we see, yeah.
When you masturbate too many times and nothing comes out at the end, that's how I feel about writing right now. I'm like, I'm cooked.
That's where I am.
So,
Married man, that's where I am.
I mean, you can tell by that scarf.
There you go.
Oh, God. See,
wiping my hand, Sam.
And you can tell by this tie that I haven't definitely been married at all, because someone would have said, "Do not use this tie." When you think about doing being in DC or doing a show like this and then doing a special, what do you think are maybe 2 or 3 main things that are crucial to your preparation when you go out there for a show coming up this weekend, or you're prepping for a special? A lot of them sometimes they're being filmed during shows, right? What are some of the main things that you go through in preparation to make sure that A, it flows well from a cadence perspective, and then the jokes land in the way you want them to land?
Just trying to stay normal on the road. So hit the gym maybe in the morning, nothing crazy, just 30 minutes or something. Then get a decent meal, some coffee, listen to the set, listen to where I can add a tag. You're like, oh, this part of the story could be a little stronger. Maybe this ending. Maybe the most annoying jokes are the ones where you're 2/3 there and the ending is just not quite where you want it to be.
Right.
And you're like, do you drop it? Do I not drop it? Do I shelf it? Because the best ones are when you have a story and you've got the ending, because then you can just have fun and you can experiment. Right now I have one long story and I'm not sold on the last line. I'm keep tweaking the last line, and the most annoying thing is waiting 10 minutes to tell the story to see if the last line works.
Huh.
So, when you have the ending, you can you can play, you can experiment, but when you don't have the ending, it's a little more difficult.
It can always be kind of in the ether. I'll tell you, I could ask these questions all night, but I'll tell you, I've never have ever talked about my mother on air, but Sam Morril, you got me to do it tonight, my friend. And my mother.
I'm sorry.
No, by the way, my mother, I'll tell you, she's one of the coolest ladies on earth. Okay, she loves the comment section that I have. She would love this interview. I'm going to send it to her right afterwards.
Nice.
Sam, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Make sure to send the part that says star comedian Sam Morril to get her.
Yes.
Going.
By the way, she's seen a lot of your stuff and she watches the podcast too, so she'll be really excited to hear all of this. Okay, because I make her watch a lot of podcasts with me, and she's getting into it now. But I just want to say thank you for coming on, man, and again, good luck this weekend. And again, Errors Tour. On social media, we might be drunk podcast. Sam Morril joining us tonight on Live Zone Primetime. Thank you, sir, and go kick some butt out there, man.
Thank you, Sam.
I'll see you guys around.
Take care, brother.
All right.
That was a fun interview.
Coming up in just a moment, we've got more action for you. Keep it locked right here. All right. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. You like the Stephen A. Smith of Fox.
4, 3, 2.
Welcome back to Live Zone Primetime, and now joining us in Primetime, a very special guest, Representative Oye Owalewa in the building, my brother.
Yes.
How are you, sir? Bring it in, man.
Good
Could
seeing
not be sharper dressed out here. Could not look better.
I knew I was going to see y'all tonight.
Hey, you look good.
This man's been doing a fit check with me. Okay?
Show him,
I like
Tony.
this. I
Show
like
him how to
this.
do it.
You and me, so we got to do a collab.
I like this.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
brother.
Oh, yeah.
Good fit, solid tie.
His tie's
Trying to be like you.
Okay, gentlemen, we could do this for the next 5 minutes. We can talk about why
Let's
you're
talk
here.
about real stuff,
Absolutely.
okay?
Oh yeah, I wanted to bring you here. Obviously, this weekend we encountered one another again, in which you were at an amazing cause, leading a rally down in Washington D.C. for
Right.
Nicole Good.
Right.
And someone called that an anti-ICE rally. Speak to me about your motivation to be there and what that was like.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Thank you for having me here.
Yes.
You know, on Saturday or Sunday, we were outside the White House
Yes.
demanding change, demanding good. And when we're seeing the murder happen of Renee and Nicole Good in Minnesota, that could have happened in D.C.
Sure.
You know, earlier this year or
Right.
last year, we had the federal takeover with National Guardsmen. They're still here and they're armed.
Right.
We're seeing ICE all throughout D.C. and we're calling an end to that. We're speaking truth to power and letting people know here in D.C. the folks are speaking out against this White House and the federalization and the militarization of our
Sure.
law enforcement happening throughout our country.
One of the things that Tony and I have been discussing on this show and other shows all week long is the fact that two individuals can look at that tape
Yeah.
and they can see two totally different things there. How do we have the conversations necessary to attempt to bridge the gap with people regardless of what political side they're on?
I feel like we have to start backwards. We
Gotcha.
all want safe communities. We all
Right.
want our children to go to school and come back safe. And when we start thinking about what keeps us safe, it's not just physical, but also mental. When we have ICE agents coming out with masks on, out of unmarked vehicles, being belligerent, aggressive to the very people we're supposed to protect, we all know that does not keep us safe. And when you start going backwards and seeing how we can actually keep ourselves in a healthy community, then we can find those solutions. Right now, it sounds like Republicans yelling at Democrats,
Sure.
Democrats talking past each other. But when we start thinking about what keeps our communities whole and what community policing looks like, then we can all speak out against what we're seeing right now.
Wow.
And when you see cities like Minneapolis or here in
Yeah.
D.C. that you're, of course, are a part of this and you're
Yeah.
running, how do you think cities like Minneapolis and D.C. can prepare citizens and keep people safe if ICE were to come back to D.C. and other cities? How can we get ahead of it to make sure people are safe, they can protest, and we also keep the community safe from crime?
I'm so glad you asked that. Earlier last year in 2025, we had immigration town halls for folks who would be affected by this or people who just
Sure.
care about what's going on, and arming them, lack of a better word, with immigration legal advice. Having folks who understand the laws is critically important.
Right.
You want to have somebody knowing what their rights are before ICE or law enforcement gets in their way versus afterwards. And keeping people informed with the law, but also keeping people safe is critical in these moments because, like I said, it's very charged when law enforcement comes your way. And we want to make sure people can keep their level head, but also know their rights so they can keep themselves safe.
And when you think about next steps for D.C. and other communities, you know, how do you think ICE could either be reformed or maybe totally reimagined to really deal with the immigration issue, but also not cause some of the agitation that we're seeing in our streets right now?
It brings me back to my own story. You know, my parents are immigrants themselves. They came in the 1970s.
Right.
And the conversation was a lot less charged than it is now, whether people are on different sides or not.
Right.
We understand that it needs to be a real pathway to citizenship. But also bringing the community and law enforcement and even potentially ICE to the room to talk about what's working and what's not working. There's calls for abolition of ICE because what we're seeing is just not working. I mean, we're talking about keeping the community safe and no one feels that.
Yeah.
Even citizens. Black people, white people, and all beyond are protesting in the streets. They're filming officers in action, and it's actually straining the relationship between MPD and the
100%.
community.
Right.
So when we're looking at solutions, it has to start with a conversation first. People can put away the politics, put away the pain, pull away the agitation, and really talk about community safe communities.
Right.
Sure.
100%.
Resources.
Yeah.
Opportunities for elected officials to hear and not just talk down to people. And I think that's the first step.
I want to have an honest conversation
Yeah.
right here, and we only have 2 minutes left
Sure.
in this conversation. But we were speaking with the representative last night, a former law enforcement
Yeah.
representative, who was on the other side of this conversation that we might be.
Sure.
From what he saw in this, it was a totally justifiable shooting of Nicole Good from everything that he saw
Sure.
there.
Right.
So under the understanding that there are going to be people who feel that way, we're not going to change anybody's mind that
Sure.
feels strongly on that angle. So how do you educate the community in terms of what they should and should not do if placed in a similar position so that they walk away without losing their lives?
You know, what I would love to say is that hindsight is 2020, and everyone has different perspectives. Officers have a very difficult job. But it's not easier when we say that this was a justified shooting. Someone lost their life.
Yeah.
Someone lost their mom, someone lost their wife, somebody lost their daughter.
Of course.
And when you look at the value of life in itself, there are no winners in this situation. So taking a step back, putting our feelings to the side, and figure out how this could not happen again is
Yeah.
critical. Community conversation is important. Honest conversation is important. Being vulnerable is important. But we also have to have that understanding too.
That's a great point. Vulnerability. That's so
Absolutely.
true in these moments.
I tell you what, Oye, this is a conversation that we could have and should have day in and day out to bring unity in this community in the DMV and around the nation. Thank you to individuals such as yourself.
I'm
who's
glad,
making
I'm
this.
glad to
Thank
be
you, sir.
here.
Thank you for being here.
100%.
Absolutely.
Thank you to all of our guests. It's Live Zone Primetime. Man, you're amazing.
Well done.